Hey everybody, we have 3 live events coming up at Renegade University soon. In addition to our large and ever-growing catalog of video streaming courses. So we have a 5-part webinar coming up taught by Daniel McCarthy on conservatism. Daniel is considered by many people to be the leading expert on conservatism in the United States. I cannot wait for this webinar. Daniel's been on my show twice, so many of you know him and you know how smart he is and how steeped in the subject he is. Just a truly pristine intellect on display here. We're going to learn a lot from him. So that's Conservatism with Daniel McCarthy. That is begins end of June. Go to renegadeuniversity.com/courses and you'll see it right there. The other course coming up that is a very different kind of course, but I'm equally proud of, is Carol Queen's A World of Desires, Sexual Diversity in the Postmodern Age. It's as badass as the title, I promise you. So Carol, whose course we have on sale as a video streaming course, Sex Positivity, will be bundled. Special deal, bundled with this webinar. You get both for just 1 credit. This is going to be a phenomenal event. You'll see all kinds of amazing people in the class, as well as Carol, who is a legend among sex radicals and sex educators in the Bay Area and across the country, and actually across the world. So that's A World of Desires, Sexual Diversity in the Postmodern Age with Carol Queen. That also begins at the end of June. Go to renegadeuniversity.com/courses to check that out as well. And then for the live in-person event, we have the event of the century. We believe it's the largest by far RU event we've ever done in 4 years of existence. It is Renegade University at Texas, in the barbecue capital of Lockhart, which is just south of Austin. We will have an incredible all-star lineup of special guests on stage with me, doing live podcasts all weekend with the audience at a 1-acre spread owned by Buck Johnson of the Counterflow podcast. This is going to be so off the chain. I can't even stand it. I can't wait for this. So the guests will include Scott Horton, Cody Wilson, Hotep Jesus, Deirdre McCluskey, and Jack the Perfume Nationalist. If you are a fan of this show, you know who all those people are, and you know you have to come to this event. This is going to be absolutely amazing, and everybody's looking forward to it. The VIPs have already sold out. So we actually check that. There might be 2 left. I might be wrong about that. There might be 2 left, but they're selling out really fast, so get the VIPs. But, you know, the general admissions, you're going to be there all weekend, Saturday and Sunday, all day with us, hanging out with all the guests and me and all the crew who watch Unregistered and who are part of Renegade University, which is now a political movement, a social movement. I'm getting emotional. All right, go to renegadeuniversity.com and I'll see you in class. Bye. This is the Unregistered podcast, and I'm Thaddeus Russell. This is a show about ideas, people, and behaviors that are considered inappropriate, out of bounds, or beyond the pale. The things you're not supposed to talk about if you're a school teacher, a college professor, a businessman, a politician, a parent, a neighbor, or even a podcast host. These are the things you're not supposed to say or even think if you're a good liberal, a good conservative, or a good citizen. Each week, I'll interview a person who has something bad to say. They might be a journalist or a professor. They might be a porn star or a drug dealer. They might just be an ordinary person with an ordinary job who doesn't care about the rules of polite society. I'm not interested in breaking the rules just to be a troublemaker. I'm interested in people who break the rules of conventional thought and to expand the scope of what is possible to say in our society. I'm interested in people who make me think. I mean, come on. Who else would I have in this show? This is my interview with Doug Stanhope. I am joined from a place anyone who is his fan will know, Bisbee, Arizona, by the legendary, notorious Doug Stanhope, who Doug, you and I go back a long way, although we've never really met before this moment. You read my book, amazingly,
Yes, I did.
about a decade ago, and even took a picture of yourself reading my book. And you were the first celebrity to read my book and comment on it publicly. You were also the last celebrity. I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
but
I'm not a trendsetter.
I was counting on you, man, but the sales didn't pick up anyway.
I didn't. That Oprah in me never kicked off with my book club recommendations.
Guess not. And then also, listen, I'm gonna have to, start this interview off with a fight. I hope you don't mind, but
Oh,
yeah, we're just gonna get right into it. So you reviewed my book on your podcast very briefly. You probably don't remember this. This was 10 years ago. You discussed it for, I think, 45 seconds. And you said this about my book, Doug. You said, it's good, but there's too much goddamn evidence in it. I've read enough about how white people were dancing with black people in the 19th century. I get it. Because you're right. I'm a historian. What's
hang
that?
on. I'm going to move. I'm moving my location. You cut out during that.
My bad.
Here. Thank you. Fortunately, my bartender is with me. We're doing crossword puzzles, so I have an assistant. You cut out. I said it had too much evidence. I know black people and white people did what?
Yeah, you said that my book had too much evidence. That was got tiresome, like hearing all the data that I had assembled, like proving that black people and white people hung out together in early America. And you were right. You were right. But I wanted to explain to you, it's been 10 years, I've been waiting to explain to you for 10 years why that is, which is, it's the problem that you face. When you say stuff that people are going to hate, you need to support it with every bit of evidence you can. So your critique of my book was dead on. It's just that I need you to understand that the reason that sometimes it gets a little dry, and tiresome perhaps, is that I'm up against it. When I'm making a really radical argument, I gotta present all the evidence. So that's all.
I understand that. And a lot of times I appreciate it. Can I get an ashtray? And then I will never bother you again. A lot of times it's necessary for me. A lot of times I read just hoping to get material out of it. Like I read almost strictly nonfiction. Like if I'm going to I read so painfully slowly, and like any given sentence can send my head off on a path. And then I've read 2 more paragraphs that I didn't ever really read. So redundancy is great for me. I might have been thinking of something else. I mostly do Audible books now.
Yeah.
Unless I'm on vacation.
Yeah. People assume that I'm a fast reader, but I'm a very slow reader, because just like you, I'll read a sentence and that will send off sparks in every direction, right? And my mind goes from there. I don't know what that means about us. I mean, it means that we're clinically diagnosed as ADHD, but what else might it mean, do you think?
Well, if the subject is interesting, or if it's guiding you, it should. I mean, that's why I do read, because it does make me think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a book snob. Like, why don't you pick up a book? It's still a form of escapism. A lot of times I prefer TV because I can share that with someone. I can't share a great book. Like, oh fuck, this is great. Oh wait, you're not reading this too. So, but it does get my brain going. So I don't mind that it makes me flighty. Usually the better the book, the less I'm paying attention to it.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I was thinking about you and your career. I mean, you're so much, you're a man of the mind. You read books, you think about big ideas, you incorporate big ideas into your act, but you're also totally famous as a man of the body, like the pleasures, hedonism, the drinking, the smoking, the sex, the whatever, I mean, that's what you kind of revel in it, talk about it openly. And that kind of it almost disproves this old idea in Western culture that you're either one or the other, right? You can't be both intellectual and hedonistic. But you're sort of a walking contradiction to that, aren't you?
I don't know that's I've never heard that people that are libertines are necessarily dolts. But as the years have gone on, I've become a lot less Hunter-esque and a lot more Bukowski. My days of LSD are fucking done. Now it's just cocktails and cigarettes slouched over the bar with a horseshoe posture.
Oh, is that it? Okay, so you've narrowed down the stimulants.
I've been fucking with edibles a little bit here and again. It makes me a little bit happier, a little sillier. Which when I get back on the road, I hope that a little bit of that comes into my act, because I don't want to come out like the last, however few years, just every fucking comedian has turned into some pontificating fucking political leaning and mask or anti-mask, and everyone's joined a camp and a wing, and I want to come out with a little bit of fucking. I want some diarrhea in my act. I want some lowest common denominator fucking ridiculousness, at least a little bit, to take the edge off. I don't want to, like, you kind of stole my thing. I was the fucking yelling guy, and now the girl who talked about fucking dating in her period is the yelling guy now. I'm like, all right.
So you don't want to come out when you're back on the road with the books necessarily. You want to speak to the people and their base instincts, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, I want to have some fun.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, what a concept. Fuck.
Was it Zeppelin that said, "Does anybody here remember laughter?"
Well, I mean, it's really been a while, hasn't it, since we've had fun? I've actually forgotten what social fun is. I know a lot of us have. But when are you going back?
Yeah, I go back August. I think my first date right now is August 10th. Okay. But I've been doing some goofy shows right here in the bar at my house. Just invite a dozen people over and throw an open mic, and then feed them some karaoke afterwards and free liquor, just to work shit out, just to practice talking again.
Nice. Yeah, I heard you talk about how COVID was really good for you, but also it took you a while to come out of it, to be part of the world again, right?
Yeah. Well, once I got the vaccination, I like, all right, now I have no excuses. I should be doing something, but I haven't done anything differently. It's kind of like when someone asks you what your favorite song is. At a certain age, you're too old to have favorites. Or what do you want me to play on the jukebox? And every single thing is available. Like, if you ask me what I should be doing today, other than your podcast, I'm like, well, there's a million things I could be doing, so I can't pick one. None are superlatives. So I'll just sit here and do nothing again. Monday, New York Times crosswords. I have a book full of them. We sit there, smoke cigarettes, and do easy crossword puzzles.
Really? That's a day. That's actually how you spend a lot of your time?
Yeah.
And so you're not just sitting there like Adam Sandler, like, I think it's been said that he's just always working, creating material, working on new movies, whatever. Like, so that's not you, because you are you're quite prolific for a comic.
I'm a deadline guy.
Okay.
Well, I'm only prolific for self-serving interests, because I get so fucking tired of my own material so quickly. Like, I can't say this anymore. I'm so tired of saying this. It doesn't make sense anymore. I don't know why it was funny when I wrote it, anything new. But to do that, you also have to have some kind of life experiences.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go back and start tripping.
Yeah. So tell me why in the fucking world you're a traitor to my cause. Why do you go around talking about how great COVID was for you?
What's your cause?
The lockdowns. The lockdowns are terrible. Masking is stupid.
Where are you?
I'm in Oakland, California, which is like the world. It's like a cult here. People outdoors wear masks. The fucking dogs wear masks. Babies wear masks everywhere.
Yeah, no, COVID was great for me. It gave me an excuse it was the best excuse of my life. Why I couldn't go out and do, to see why you can't come over, why I'm not getting anything done, why I'm not booking dates. Like, I wasn't going to be one of those guys doing a fucking drive-in movie theater where car horns equal laughter. I saved my money.
Right. And you
I don't need to be.
and you had also basically retreated from most of society anyway, right? By moving to Bisbee. I mean, you kind of wasn't that part of what was going on? You were like announcing that you're done with the shit.
Yeah, I was quarantining my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't even go to the supermarket for the first 6 months, and I loved it. I know where all my shit is. I'm a human being. Like, I'm a homeowner.
Yeah. Were you? Wow. You didn't even go grocery shopping for 6 months. Were you? Was it because of fear of getting it?
No, just because I had a girl that would go for me, worked out. She had lost her bartending job, so I hire her to do fucking odd jobs and housework and run to the grocery store.
Huh.
I mean, I wouldn't want to get COVID. But looking back, I probably did overreact. I'm a 40+ year chain smoker, so
Yeah.
I would be I would be a statistic. I would not be a survivor.
Indeed. Yeah. So you and I are the same age.
I would never get a fucking flu shot. So I don't, my hypocrisy runs deep, but okay. I reveled in the doomsday, psychosis of the world. I thought that was a fantastic thing to live through.
Tell me.
Checking the death counts daily. And
God, I need you to explain this. I spent the whole last year and a half in a rage. So tell me how I should have enjoyed it.
Well, you live in a fucking city. Yeah, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have so much space here. I live in the middle of nowhere. I have my own bar. And yeah, I walk the dogs and I don't have to pick up dog shit.
So it's really okay. I've heard this that people who live in red states and places like rural Arizona have had a really different experience with this thing, that they've just the universal masking is not a thing. People are not nearly as paranoid.
No. It's a very artsy town. This is like the Austin or better. Austin's a piece of shit. Yeah, this is a hippie town. But with enough redneck to balance it out. You will see someone with a sidearm at the Circle K and you scoff, like, really? You need that? You need that in Bisbee? Someone's going to fucking approach you with chakra healing and you're going to have to fucking defend yourself from Reiki vibes.
Hey, they have stones in Reiki. You got to watch out for that shit. They can throw them. So,
Reiki in Palestine.
Yeah,
man. They have in common.
Definitely.
Rocks.
So you and I are about the same age. I think I'm a year older than you. What happened to the?
I would have guessed you for about 46.
Well, thank you. I only know your age because I looked it up. But you were rocking a hairdo recently that's gone, I guess.
Yeah, I did the COVID. I hate to call it a mohawk because it only went back to my bald spot. So it's like a forehawk. And but once I realized I'm going to have to go back on the road, like I rocked the 70s plaid vintage fucking suit, used car salesman look, and you can't do pink mohawk and used car salesman.
I don't know, man. You were a hero to me because you and I have very similar like hair situation, right? Yeah, very similar male pattern baldness back there. And yet you came out with this mohawk, or a front hawk, I think you called it. Yeah. And you said it just went back, and it went back just to your bald spot. So I was like, I could actually do that. I'd never seen a man accomplish that before.
I love being old, doing ridiculous things.
Yeah. I mean, but like I thought, a mohawk, when I first saw you with a mohawk, I thought, oh, he doesn't have a bald spot. That's why he can do it. But then I was like, wow, he even has my kind of bald spot. He's doing it. It's just, that's courage. That's a profile in courage right there.
It's a lot of upkeep. It's a lot of upkeep.
I bet.
And as far as shaving the rest of it every other day, and on the road, fuck it, I'll just keep it shaved.
All right.
Silly.
Good.
All right. Are you still in lockdown? I just had a friend, Olivia Grace, a comic friend of mine, just went to LA to the Comedy Store to do Roast Battle, their grand reopening of Roast Battle, and said that She was walking down Hollywood Boulevard and it was fucking dead empty. The only thing open was Buffalo Wild Wings to go.
Wow.
Which is a fucking nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. All the big cities have been just ghost towns. I was in LA about 6 months ago and it was utterly dystopian. And
do you cook?
Yeah.
All right. So that's one benefit of being home is I prefer to cook for myself than eat most anything. So I'm going to miss a lot of shit. Fucking just making smoothies every morning in the Vitamix. You can't do that on the road. I can't bring a cooler with fucking frozen beets and bananas and, broccoli and all the shit I put in that. That would be one fucking suitcase in itself.
Yeah.
I'm vaguely healthy. I drink a half gallon of water a day. I float fruit in it like it's a lobby in a Hampton Inn. Oh, it's lemon and orange infused today. I fucking love it. I love being a guy.
Yeah,
not
man.
Just some fucking douchebag at TSA. I like being.
Are those the only alternatives? Have you tried cucumber in your water? That's my favorite.
I have, but strawberry and pineapple are the best.
Oh, wow. All right. I can try that. So I wanted to talk to you about a few things. One of them is relevant.
Not infused water. That wasn't on your list.
No, we just did that. We covered that.
Yeah, I know.
So, COVID, lockdowns, isolation, alienation from society. A lot of people who do that cope with it by having a family, right? And you do have a family, but it's an unusual family in that it's a chosen family. It seems to me. I mean, this is what it seems to me on the outside. And you've publicly been against marriage and I guess against the family. I'm not sure about that, but you certainly have said things against.
I'm an anti-natalist, I think they're called.
Yeah, there you go. Anti-natalist. Yeah. That's just terrible.
I love when someone tells me a big word for what I already know I am, but I didn't. Now I have a big word for it.
Yeah, and it sounds a little bit less evil than it is, right? Because I bet a lot of people think it's just really evil of you to have that belief. I mean, being against children is being against civilization.
Well, yeah, you've seen how civilization works out.
Exactly. I wrote a book about it. Yeah. Yeah. Not too well.
Yeah, I think the analogy I used is like if you have a really good party going on and you have plenty of booze and and then all your friends keep inviting more friends and now they're fucking draining all the booze supplies and fucking everything up and now there's more dishes to do and then you ruined the party because you had to keep inviting people out of your vagina.
which is exactly the way childbirth and parenting is described in our culture all the time. I appreciate that you cut to the point. Yeah, did you? I mean, that is considered to be by some people to be, like the most evil thing you can believe in, right? Because it's
fucking homicide. You're creating life that's gonna die without you.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, check this out. I'll take it even farther. It's homicide and slavery, right? Because the kids are slaves and prisoners, both, right? You can make them work. You can make them work.
I have an extended bit about this on No Place Like Home is that special.
Yeah.
About parents should be responsible for you for your entire life. 18 years a slave. Fuck you.
That's right.
I have to mow the lawn and take out the trash and do the dishes. And now you want me to do homework? Go fuck yourself.
Right.
Yeah, I'm 15. I can impregnate someone and create my own slave to do side work for me that you're going to have to pay for because I'm not 18. Something along those lines. Like all my bits, it goes on and on.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And when I heard it, I thought, oh my God, this guy thinks the way I do about this stuff. I've been through the marriage. I've had a kid. And then after all that, I realized that I was on your side. Not necessarily an anti-natalist, but I certainly defend those who are. And marriage, I think, is, well, tell me, why are you anti-marriage? I mean, I think I know. But...
As a legal institution, I'm not anti monogamy. Well, to whatever extent. Yeah. But it shouldn't be a legal institution. It should just be something you do, like joining a fraternity. Well, they can't hold that against you and get lawyers involved if you decide you don't want to be a Phi Delta Kappa anymore. Yeah, that should just be something you do on your own. And if you need it for legal purposes, which you incorporate, start a business. If you need the insurance, it shouldn't matter that you're fucking the same person. They're two worlds that shouldn't intersect, but like everything, lawyers fuck it up.
Yep.
Or invent it just so they can exploit it.
Exactly. What about the lifelong monogamy part of it? What do you think of that?
Oh, that's silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ask a lot of questions in a relationship.
Exactly. I don't think it's really possible. I mean, certainly not for like 40, 50 years to do it and everybody comes out happy and they're still monogamous, right? I mean, a
lot of people are really fucking dumb, Thaddeus. And yeah, I would love to be one of those people that just doesn't question it. Well, you knocked her up, you marry her. Okay, that's how the world works. And they never question, why am I doing this? Well, that's how we've always done it. Well, that's not a good enough reason.
Are you with me on this? I have come to the point.
Why do people get tax breaks for making more problems in children?
Oh yeah.
Oh, if you have children, you get tax break. No, it should work the other way around. You're causing more problems. You should pay more money, and you should be able to afford the fucking kid before you have the kid, because it's not fair to the kid if you can't.
Totally agree. Yeah. I call them slave drivers and prison wards too, prison guards, which they are. Do you agree with me that Americans are just fundamentally, remarkably, maybe uniquely ignorant people? That's what I feel.
In whatever ways, I don't think as human beings we have different brains because of an imaginary line drawn as a border, but we do have the most distractions probably. So people don't, why would I read a book? Why would I read Thaddeus's book about fucking A Renegade History when I have Gnipkanop on my phone and I'm playing, I want to get high score. Like, why would you? Well, and we have so much money.
Right. Yeah.
Again, a bit, I think our poverty compared to third world poverty is fucking worlds.
Oh, yeah.
But I said in that bit, I think I said our landfills are their dollar stores.
Yep. Exactly. Our poor are their rich. Yeah. So talking about politics, which you do not all the time, but enough. I mean, that's really the problem.
I think I never talk about politics.
Okay. I was wondering.
I never said Trump's name for 4 years on stage. I once had to allude to him, but I would never say his name because that's what he wants.
Oh, no shit.
Oh.
Okay.
So yeah, I talk about socially relevant things or things that might be a political issue, but I don't talk about actual politicians or parties. I'm going to start. Just because right now, if anyone who's listening to me that doesn't know me is probably saying I'm right wing, just based on the child thing.
Yep.
And the next bit I do on stage, they'll go, "Oh, he's like a fucking snowflake lefty." Like, you can't have a pragmatic opinion about one thing without being pigeonholed into one of two groups. And
yeah,
I mean, as many names that there are now for sexualities and genders. Yeah, there's a million, but there's still only two parties. You're either a left wing or you're right wing, depending on what you just said. And you go, no, I'm not any wing at all.
Yeah. Someone asked me if I was a Democrat or a Republican, and I said I was neither. And they said, well, what else is there?
Well, that's where I get that's where I was told, like I was told I was an anti-natalist. I was told I was libertarian based on a lot of the shit I said. Well, no, it's just, and then when I looked into libertarianism a lot more, well, they still have a dogma. Well, you say you're a libertarian, so you have to believe in this. Well, not if you're so no, I'm not a libertarian then. I'm just a fucking dude who has ideas, and some of them are wrong and some of them suck and some of them are very defeatist, and a lot of them change on a daily basis. I don't know if you're a drinker, but what I woke up angry about at 8 o'clock in the morning might be just superfluous at fucking 8 o'clock at night. Or I might have a completely different opinion based on my mood.
Let me tell you a story. It's about two old Mexican men in San Antonio, Texas, whose children were very concerned about the pain that they experienced on a daily basis from lifetimes of manual labor. And their children, who are Carlos and Vanessa Abelar of Paloma Verde CBD, convinced their dads to use CBD, and it worked for them. And that's what inspired Carlos and Vanessa to found Paloma Verde. Another thing that inspired them was that they noticed that CBD was all the rage in the media and rushing around the country, and the industry was exploding in all sorts of ways. But they saw, as Carlos said to me, that it wasn't really getting into the brown part of town. And so they wanted to correct that. So they opened a brick and mortar store right there in San Antonio. It was beautifully appointed and ready to go. But of course, the lockdown destroyed that dream. So they started to sell online. And I started to tell their story. And unregistered listeners started to buy their products. And Paloma Verde, largely because of that, is a success story today. And it's one of the things I'm proudest of in my work with Unregistered. So go to palomaverdecbd.com. Use the discount code Renegade. We haven't even talked about the discount you get. It's 25% off every product, which is as good a discount you'll see. Go shopping. You'll see. For CBD, this is as good a deal as you're going to get. 25% off if you use the discount code Renegade. palomaverdecbd.com, discount code Renegade. They have the Unregistered Combo Pack, also known as the Thad Pack, which includes my 3 favorite Paloma Verde products. That's the gummies, the, where are they? The soft gels, and my favorite thing, the tincture, which is very fast acting. So again, palomaverdecbd.com, use the discount code Renegade, and help tell this beautiful story while you help your body and make yourself happier. Thank you. Yeah, I'm 8 years sober, so another thing we sort of have maybe in common. In other words, I was a drinker. Yeah, I was a drinker for my entire life until 8 years ago, which we can certainly talk about. But so politics. So yeah, I've heard you once describe yourself as a libertarian and maybe once as an anarchist, but really you don't read that way to me. I don't see like a libertarian when I see you talking, which is nice.
I have a lot of libertarian ideals.
Sure, me too.
But yeah, I called myself that because someone said I was one of those. And they go, well, because you just said this, this, and this. So they said 3 things that are libertarian. So I go, oh, I must be one of those. Didn't do a lot of research, just threw the word around a lot.
Right. And you didn't have you didn't have an academic background. How did you come into being politically aware? Again, I don't want to pigeonhole you as a political You're not at all, but like
I want to go on with this.
Yeah.
You caught me at a fertile moment.
Let's do it.
That Shkreli guy. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Andrew Shkreli. Martin Shkreli. Yeah. They jacked up all the prices on. Yeah. I think from what I know of libertarianism, because they would say, hey, it's a fucking free market.
Yep.
I think. And you'd go, no, then I'm not one of you, because I want to hammer that guy's fucking nose off of his face.
So for people who don't remember, this Martin Shkreli, I think his name was. This is 5 years ago, something like that. And he jacked
punch in the face next to.
He jacked up the price of a medication that was it for cancer or HIV?
It was something that people desperately needed, and he jacked it up 2,000% to where people were dying, and he would smirk.
Yeah.
He loved himself for doing it.
because the market could allow that. Well, actually, it's a very rigged market. That's why he could do that, with patents and everything. But so, I mean, how do you feel about capitalism then?
That was all of the parts of the Libertarian Party that were like that. I go, that sounds wrong to me. I don't understand economics. I never will. And yeah, that's when I was going to run for president. It was supposed to be a joke, and then someone said, "Oh, you could run as a libertarian. You could actually get on the ticket because they don't have anybody."
Oh yeah.
And then I tried to do that, and I'd read books about stuff I don't understand and go, "It's not helping. You can't erase brain damage just by applying pages." I read the whole book. I still have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. I'm out.
Do you think you're actually brain damaged?
I would have no idea. You know, the road less traveled. If I hadn't spent 40 years fucking drinking and dabbling in drugs recreationally, who knows what my brain would be like? But I get through a day.
I doubt it, actually. I doubt that you are. But I've noticed that you get like a lot of what's now called concern trolling. People are always concerned about your health.
Like,
yeah, I know
that's not new.
Yeah. I mean, even like I've been on Rogan 3 times, and every time he does, I mean, he's famous for doing this, right? He's always worried about his guests' health, and he always has recommendations for how to make you healthier, right? And he was very concerned, I think, the last time you were on. But like I've seen a lot of people, like they're always worried about Doug Stanhope and your health and your drinking and your smoking and this and that. I'm curious about like your reaction to that, how you feel about that. I mean, I'd be pissed off and sick of it and not want it. I'd like for it to stop, but I mean, what do you feel?
Well, I do glorify that behavior on stage. So people, occasionally a fan will come by, and if we're in the mood and we're around, we'll let them in, and they're invariably shocked at how boring we are. They think it's going to be some fucking Hunter S. Thompson shit where I'm, blasted out of my mind, tripping my balls off. And no, we're just doing crosswords on the patio. Have a seat, grab yourself a beer. Don't stay long. The smoking is definitely a problem. And that's the one that no one says, "Oh my God, I'm so scared for your smoking." It's such a slow death.
Yeah. And vaping just isn't going to work, or the patches or anything.
Yeah, I've the only times I've quit successfully for long periods of time are just cold turkey. Just don't have cigarettes. Just fucking hole up, and if you don't have cigarettes, you can't smoke. It's that simple.
Indeed. So yeah, you are you're my age, so we're mid-50s, and you're still a successful, prolific comic. And I mean, you were a prolific. Yeah, you were a prolific, successful young comic, and then you were a prolific, successful comic in your 30s and 40s. And I'm curious about just sort of how you kind of see the field, the industry, the business, your job, your career at this point in your life and your career. Are you 54?
54. I just turned, and I have no idea what the business is like, and I didn't before COVID because I'm not like a LA, New York comic that does drop-in sets to strangers. I only perform at my shows where people have paid a healthy ticket price and they know what they're in for. No one pays $50 to come see you on a whim. Like they know what you do. So I rarely see other comics. So all I know about the industry is what I read on Twitter. So yeah, all the cancel culture shit. I mean, I don't want to say it can't happen to me. But as far as I don't have sponsors, I don't have, I'm not going to get kicked off of my network show for anything I say. I don't really have any opinions that I think are cancelable that I would say on stage. Well, you never know what someone might, but I don't play to those people.
I think it's because I think this is right. You've never really been part of the establishment. I mean, you had the Man Show, which is probably the most establishment job you had, or one of them, right? But you've never really, right? So you've never really been part of that machine, and so they just don't probably, they care about you less,
right?
Because
I just kind of unknown, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. It just occurred to me you've never been canceled. They've never tried to cancel you. There's no Doug Stanhope scandal.
It's like when Joey Diaz had that scandal.
Yeah,
he laughed it off. Nobody knows who Joey Diaz is so they try to pin it on Rogan,
right,
for having him as a friend. Hey, wait, all right, he said something awful, which we all know Joey Diaz. He's just full of shit in a fucking hilarious way. So when they couldn't make that stick on Joey Diaz, they turned it into a Rogan thing. Rogan laughed at the horrible thing he says. Let's go after Rogan because he has something we can take.
I was going to say that's the thing. They would use what you would say against Rogan, right? By guilt by association bullshit, which is so common, right? So-and-so once had dinner with so-and-so and therefore they're a Nazi, right?
Well, where is fucking cancel culture when it comes to fucking, Edward, who works at fucking Jiffy Lube, that actually did rape you?
Yeah, exactly. The actual criminals. Yeah,
and Jiffy Lube won't fire him because they're hard enough trying to find good workers. It's only famous people.
Yep.
It's silly, and a lot of it doesn't exist. Like, so much of it is manufactured by whatever BuzzFeed, or I don't know what fucking, Gawker. I think that one's gone. Whatever, those kind of, I don't know, what do you even call those fucking websites? They find someone saying something vaguely inappropriate. They go out, search for one tweet that is offended, and they go, people are outraged by so-and-so saying this. Wait, what people? Produce the body, habeas corpus. Show me this group of people. But then other people see the news story, and then they all have opinions, and then they get into arguments at bars over something that is a non-event.
I know. So what? It's like I can't decide if Americans are a bunch of like 18-year-old Puritan girls or if they're just like raging hedonistic wild people, because they're both simultaneously, right? I mean, don't you see a lot of both in this culture?
Yeah, in the same person, because they're repressed and they can't let out, their inner urges, or they feel ashamed about their inner urges. And so, I mean, I see it in myself. And when you can see it in yourself, it's far easier to spot it. It takes one to know one thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you're doing. You're fucking really upset about this. So you're lashing out like this. I know it because I do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I call it the inner civil war. Like almost every American, it seems to me, has like a little Cotton Mather, a little Puritan inside of them, and like a little Larry Flint inside of them too at the same time, right? And the culture kind of reflects that, right? You see this extreme Puritanism where like work is the best thing in the world, and oh my God, some politician had sex outside of marriage. But then we have billboards advertising everything having to do with fucking and drinking and partying at the same time. It's the most schizophrenic culture, right?
Yeah, and I don't just boil it down to the hedonistic things. Just generally, when Saturday night, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw this party, so we're gonna do, we're gonna have a band, and then we're gonna do some comedy. And I know if I invite people, I'm going to have to write some shit, because I am other than like random premises, I haven't written comedies for this whole 14 months. This will be fun. Why would I write something that I can't do?
Yeah. Right.
So I had some premises. I go, okay, if I invite the people, now I'm forcing my hand, and then I have self-doubt. And now that all day Saturday, when I'm trying to write out a set from all this shit, I fucking hated every single person who left the fucking thing running. What the fuck? Like, just because I know that I'm ill prepared, I think I'm not funny. Everything that's going through my mind is making me a fucking asshole to everybody else. And I could see that happening. So yeah, a lot of people are fucking assholes because their lives suck. Their wife sucks. Their kids suck. They've been 14 months stuck with a child that they were counting on the state to take care of fucking 1/3 of the day.
Yep.
Oh, no, they need to be in school. The learning experience. No, you just want them out of the fucking house and you can't see inside yourself. If people did more hallucinogens and saw who they really were inside, they'd be as miserable as me.
I thought you were about to say they'd be enlightened.
Yes. And that would, sometimes enlightenment makes you miserable because you go, oh, I'm the douchebag. I've been the douchebag. It's been me the whole time.
Okay, yeah, hallucinogens. You got to turn.
Calls are coming from inside my head.
Yeah. Okay, so hallucinogens, psychedelics, right? Do you say you're no longer doing them?
No, I've taken a little bit of mushrooms a couple times this year, but I don't want a heavy trip. Like when you're younger and you have less baggage and you have less tucked away in that dark spot. Yeah, it's opening that closet. It's a risky proposition, but I definitely have to do it. It's like exercise. At some point, you can't let this fucking thing atrophy. You're gonna have to take your medicine and ride it out for 8 hours, but you're gonna come out a way better person. You're gonna be buff in the brain.
Really? I haven't done any since I was a teenager, and I'm scared of them, partly because of what you're saying. But you're saying you get self-awareness. That's primarily the effect of it for you?
Yeah.
Huh.
And there's a lot of fear issues that I know just a good solid trip. I can work this shit out. It's just
really,
yeah.
And is it LSD, right?
Mushrooms.
Shrooms.
Mushrooms.
Okay. Yeah.
Although I really never did see much of a difference. People.
Oh, yeah.
But there's the same people that, well, mushrooms are natural. Well, everything's really natural. It's fucking comes from someplace on the earth. And the only time I've noticed a difference in trip is the mood I was in or the setting and not necessarily the drug. But those are the same people that say, yeah, I get violent when I drink tequila. No, you drink tequila because that has like, no one goes, oh, my wife dumped me. Get me a Pinot Grigio. That's kind of reputation. It's all alcohol.
Right. I know I've always been telling people the same thing. It's like, it's alcohol. It's the same thing in tequila as in wine, as in beer, as in whiskey. It's the same thing, but they swear that tequila has a different effect on them.
Yeah, it's got a reputation. That's what if you're in a bad mood anyway, fuck it. Let's just do shots.
Right. As a former professional drinker, I know this to be true. It is not.
Yeah, I'm sure there's fuck. Now I want to drink. I'm gonna make one because I'm at a bar. I'm sure there, like, if there's a lot of sugar in it, that can affect how you feel. But it's not gonna make you take a tire iron in someone's car that you wouldn't have drinking another drink. You might get a little more sluggish with more sugar. I'm not sure.
So
go ahead, I'm here.
Yeah, man. You mentioned your fear issues, and I've heard you talk about this publicly, and I love that. I love it when people can admit, especially men, that they deal with anxiety and fear, because it's a lifelong thing for me, anxiety issues. And I just I'd like for you to, if you don't mind, talk a little bit more about that. Like, has it been for me, it's been a lifelong issue. Like, since I was a little kid, I've dealt with anxiety, serious anxiety, verging on like panic attacks stuff. But like, and it sounds like you've had similar issues. I've heard you talk about Xanax, which is my favorite medication.
I gotta get, I gotta get more of those.
Yeah. I mean,
Xanax, now that it's like a controlled experiment, what do you call it? But since I've been home, like when you're on the road, you're like, okay, yeah, like everything's changing all the time. And fucking, all right, this flight's delayed and you can't really place. Now that I'm structured, I know anytime I take a Xanax to go to bed, the next day is fucking wonderful. Yep. I don't have fear. Fear isn't necessarily the word. Let me make this fucking drink so I can complete a thought. Tracy, where's the goddamn club soda?
That it's part of your chosen family, right?
Yes, she's my favorite person in the world.
Who's Tracy?
Shkreli is my tour manager slash. That's I just made it. I'm just making a screwdriver. I was just looking for club soda. Someone cleaned up. She's tidied up, and I can't find anything. I was just saying, you're my favorite person in the world. So, yes, she's our bartender on the podcast. She does all the merch. Her husband is my tour manager and podcast promoter. They live within the compound.
Ooh. So you have a compound. I want a compound.
Yeah, it's I use that word with an asterisk.
How many structures do you have?
Well, they live on the street below, but it abuts. So we have a speakeasy door between our houses. So that's part of it. And then we have the bar as a freestanding structure here, and the main house and a guest house.
God, that sounds like heaven. You got a good thing going on there. But back to your anxiety. So tell me about that. Like,
it's I feel like that kind of like that crippling, depression. Mm-hmm. It's I don't think that's even the right word, but where you go, I don't want to go out. I can't motivate myself to go out to the fucking dryer. Fuck it. I'll leave the clothes in there. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go. The crawl space seems fucking miles away, and I need a pot out of there to make spaghetti, but fuck it. It's different than lethargy. Is this betterhelp.com?
Yes. Yeah. I do a lot of therapeutic work on this show.
But if I go to sleep on a Xanax, I wake up, I'm walking the dog, I'm not putting stuff off. Hey, fuck it. Yeah. Let's get into those bills and look at some budgeting here. Stuff that I can't mentally, it's too much. This is just too much to do. And then you go through the I'm not funny phase, which I'm sure I don't know how I wrote anything in my life. You're just sitting at a screen going, I don't get it. I don't get writing anymore. It's done. I'm over.
Yeah. The ego just dissolves, like it disappears instantly, right? You build yourself up. You're Doug Stanhope, you're Thaddeus Russell, you're a comic, you're an author, you're this, you're that. But it turns out to be a balloon in my case, right? Some little thing will pop it, and then I forget that I wrote. I forget that I wrote.
Comment. Yeah, one Twitter comment, and it fucking destroys you.
Yeah, and I forget that I have a PhD. I forget that I wrote books. I forget that I'm a teacher. I forget that I'm all of it. Like
or you think that it's all a fraud.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome, where you go, I have a PhD, but anyone can get one of those.
I mean, I literally forget. I feel like I'm 12 years old and I'm starting out in life, and some guy just told me I'm a piece of shit again. Like I have no accomplishments behind me. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, and when you're like a public figure, like both of us are, and you can you can go on the internet and type in our names, and you can see like all of this work and all these things we've done over decades and decades, and yet it just pops.
Yeah, and it's not recent.
No, exactly.
Yeah, so what have you done for me lately?
Do you have like what the shrinks call generalized anxiety, or does it tend to congregate around particular issues or kinds of issues?
I don't know. I've never been to a shrink.
Really?
Well, I was a kid. I was forced to when I was in middle school because I had really dark jokes and made really crude drawings, and they thought I must be a serial killer.
Okay, wait. You got to tell that story. So wait, what age were you? What were you doing?
Grade 6, 7.
Okay.
Whatever age you were in.
Yep.
Trying to like, it was dead baby jokes were all the rage. You remember?
Yeah.
I lived in this, we had moved, my mother remarried, and we moved to this small fucking rich town, Paxton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I was like, I remember, you remember Michael O'Donoghue from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the thing where we all know Michael Douglas is the nicest guy in show business, daytime talk. I always wondered what would Michael Douglas's reaction be if he had 9-inch stainless steel needles plunged into his eyeballs? I think it would go something like this. And then he just goes, ah! Ah! And I brought that to fucking school. I couldn't wait to do it. And everyone's looking like I'm a fucking psychopath just because I had a very adult sense of humor when I was fucking 11 years old. And I'd draw fucking graphic pictures of smut and murder.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I get sent to a school psychologist. I still have the letter framed where they say to my mother from the psychologist saying, first of all, we strongly believe that Douglas is in serious need of mental health care. When I first started comedy, I highlighted that line in the letter and enclosed it in any promo pack I'd send to clubs for work.
So you explain this as you just having an adult mind when you were a kid, but do you have any other explanation for why you were having such thoughts at the age of 10 or 11?
No, I really don't.
Really?
I mean, wasn't molested.
Okay.
My parents divorced. This is like the bullshit thing they do on hoarders and intervention, where they show the horrible stuff up front and then they drift off into a montage of how they grew up, and they just find anything. And that's when her father moved away. Right. Like they just find something to blame. And you look at anyone's past, however, everyone's gone through some shit that you could pin on whatever, but there's no fucking scientific. Oh yeah. But my stepfather didn't help me with my homework. That's why I eat 6 fucking cases of Haagen-Dazs a day, and I'm on my 600-pound life.
You know what, man? My mother is a psychotherapist. I grew up around psychotherapists. I did 10 years of psychotherapy, spent tens of thousands of dollars on it, and I think I agree with you. I think that who didn't have multiple traumas in their childhood? Who?
Yeah, or what could be called a trauma.
Or right. Right.
Something that would be traumatic to someone else would have been hilarious to me, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I admit I was kind of hoping you'd say, oh, well, yeah, my dad beat me, and so I often had violent impulses because of, of course I was doing the same thing that everybody does, but
did you play fucking war? Did you have fake guns and pretend to shoot each other? Sure. Yeah. Why would you have violent tendencies? That's what you got for Christmas, is a fucking plastic fucking M16 that went bah, 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 and you pretended to kill each other as a pastime. Where did I get violent fucking thoughts?
Where did you get your violent thoughts in this society that gives guns to children to play with, and so that they can act like war soldiers, right? It's amazing. Yeah.
G.I. Joe with fucking hand grenades. That was my. Of course, I'm going to draw a fucking guy with no hands.
But okay. But I do want to find something. There's got to be something. It doesn't have to be trauma. It doesn't have to be your parents or anything like that. But there's got to be something in your childhood, in the world around you, that gave you the idea that you could say these things and do these things and think this way, or maybe not. I don't know. Or maybe you were reacting to something. Like, is there?
I
just don't
read
have
Lampoon. I thought I was weaned on Monty Python and National Lampoon and Saturday Night Live back when you thought it was good because you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's and Hustler. You mentioned Larry Flint earlier. That was one of my fucking best moments. Was getting I think like an 8-page spread in the Hustler.
Oh man,
5 years ago or something, 6 years ago.
Oh, they profiled you.
Yeah, and they go, we'll get a couple of models. We called them.
Yeah.
I go, okay. So it's a spread with some naked girls. I go, all right, I want graphically obese women. And I could only find one. So they one girl that's porn ready and one really, really obese in it. Yeah. just to be in Hustler, because I remember reading the most tasteless cartoon. My mother would get Hustler, and I couldn't. The bits and pieces section had all sorts of funny shit in it.
Did you say your mother got Hustler?
Yeah.
I know you've done a lot on your mom, books and stand-up sets, which I find utterly fascinating and amazing and dazzling. I guess you haven't done it in a while, but can you tell us a little bit about your mother reading Hustler and why your mother would have? I've never heard of a woman reading
my
Hustler.
stepfather, but they'd have Hustler magazine, and she didn't care if I read it. She was laughing at the same shit I laughed at.
Okay, so that sounds to me like a possible influence in your childhood, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, who you've talked about quite a lot. Who is
woman, and
say that again.
She was a very vulgar woman, and we had a similar sense of humor. Mine grew. She had already topped out in that sense of humor. So, farts were, celebrated and at the dinner table, and
nice.
Yeah, she's crass, I should say.
That's it. Yeah, no, I like it. So let me ask you this.
And she was when I was very young, she was AA. So we would go to AA meetings with her as kids and doing our homework and listening to AA stories, which are very adult and dark. But AA people, they fucking celebrate them. All the reasons that they went into the program are all the stories they love to tell, and they laugh at them and they aggrandize them.
Yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time in those rooms. I mean, it is tremendous entertainment, though, wouldn't you say? AA meetings.
Yeah, and it was definitely the storytelling aspect. I can't help but assume it crafted some of my later work. It had to be an influence.
Yeah. Yes. No. Absolutely. AA meetings are.
Celebrate.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
I'm saying, why would I said except for the quit drinking part. Right. Except for the part that made those stories stop for you.
Well, those spaces, I would say AA meetings, a stand-up comedy stage, and podcasting are the three places I think in our culture left that are still free, right? Where people not only can, but they do say just anything. And they say things that are shocking outside those rooms, right? So that's so fascinating. Your mom brought home AA meetings, which makes perfect sense because that's where people talk about the bottom. I mean, it is the bottom. We talk about the bottom as alcoholics, right?
Yeah, no, I wrote about that in one of the books that they would have headliners. Like, Indian John's going to speak tonight. He's fucking hilarious. He's great. And people would like rush to this AA meeting because a headlining alcoholic was there.
Exactly. Yeah, they had guest speakers. It was a big deal when I was going to AA. I wanted to ask you about morality. You're I mean, you're obviously challenging what's called bourgeois norms all the time, right? You are like your mom, like both you and your mom were violating, I should say, bourgeois norms right and left, just by talking about the things you do, by doing a lot of the things that you do. The bourgeois morality, meaning like the dominant sort of formal morality of the United States since the Puritans established it, right? What are you? I mean, that's the way I see your career, and in part, like, that's partly what you're doing. Is you're just the anti-bourgeois guy, and you just don't give a shit about the norms, and you're just going to cut against. I don't know
what they are anymore, Thaddeus. I honestly, I live such an insular life with the people I know that are. I don't go out. I don't have to interact with real people ever. And when I do, it's kind of scary because I don't know what people actually think. That's a huge misnomer is when people say, "Oh, he says what everybody's thinking, but is afraid to say.
Right.
No, probably not. No, not everyone is thinking like me. That's completely untrue. And I don't know what the outside world is like. Even when I'm in it, like, yeah, I travel through airports and I meet people at bars, and there's some people you can talk to and some people you can lie to and other people you avoid. So I don't know what a norm is. And a lot of times when someone comes to the house and you see them taken aback by something you said, because you're used to, comedians are the best fucking people in the world, or they used to be. And when you surround yourself with, either comedians or comedy friendly people that are aware of the business, they're in on the gag, you have no idea what the fucking regular, like, there's a million houses. If I walk my dog at 8 o'clock, there's a lot of houses that the lights are already out. And you go, what do those people do? Well, they vote and they judge you and they write letters. And I don't know what, outside of my own small circle. And that's even traveling. I go to hotels. I go to the green room. We make the darkest cancelable jokes in the green room, no matter who the comic is. And then you do your show and you move on. And you fucking lie to the guy next to you on the airplane and then on the next flight. When they say, what do? You don't say you're a comedian.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah, don't do
sell
that.
Insurance, sell Amway. When we check into hotels, we always like, oh, are you in town for business? Or are you on vacation? And when we're on tour, we always like commit to a lie. Okay, what do we do? We're in we're a Christian rock group, because both Chaley and Bingo and Tracy, they all have dyed hair, so we look like an elderly punk rock band. Yeah, we're a Christian rock band. Yeah, we don't believe any of that shit. Like, that's one, when you see the cross around on their neck, you go, yeah, we don't believe any of that shit. But God, the money's good. They're such suckers.
I like it. So
we travel town to town, and we repair shopping carts. When you get a shopping cart with a wiggly wheel, yeah, we're the people who fix those overnight. That's what we're in town for. We're gonna hit your Kroger's and we'll be out of here in the morning. Really, they did. That's so crazy. It's a crazy job. So yeah, it's fun to lie to people on the road.
So all right. So it sounds to me like, so you're telling me you don't study American culture?
I guess peripherally, everyone does. I mean, as a comic, I don't know. I'm the worst person I don't know why I do what I do, how I do what I do. I don't have, what's your writing process? Well, if it's funny, I'll write it down. And if I'm drunk and it's funny, I'll write a little bit more to try to make sure I get myself in the place where I was when I thought it. But I don't study. I read books. I listen to books. Hopefully they're repetitive, so something sticks.
Yeah, like mine. Like but I mean, you follow the news, don't you?
No,
you don't.
Oh, actually, I do. I go on Newser. I don't watch cable news at all. It's I had to stop doing that. It was ruining COVID. We had a beautiful fucking pandemic, and I'm ruining it by watching Wolf Blitzer. No, because that's not news. So I'll go on Newser and I'll click on, a fucking, a baby seal saved a baby, whatever. But no, I don't.
So I was going to say, I think maybe, so therefore the source of your comedy genius is, I think, your apartness, that you've been apart from the society for a long time. And therefore, like, you're not invested emotionally in America in any way, either like as a critic of it or as pro-American. You're kind of you are very much an outsider physically and geographically in lots of ways. Right. And I think, and therefore maybe
my longevity.
Yeah, and also, but like, I guess it's
I don't want to write bits that are going to be pointless. Like I spend it's a lot of work for me to write comedy, and I'm not going to write something that's going to be irrelevant in 2 months.
when you
Like
write.
I can go back through my career. Like I did that. I had to do that because like at this point my memory is so fucking faded. Like I think, did I already do this bit? So I went out and a couple of summers ago, I'd just take road trips and I'd force myself to listen in the car to my own shit. And
Oh
I
wow.
go, it was like just brutal to listen to
Mm,
yourself. Like, even like if Chaley's editing a podcast in here out loud and I come in and I hear my voice, I race out. But I was amazed at how much of the shit holds up. It still
yeah,
holds up today.
it does
Unfortunately, those problems are still problems.
indeed. It does hold up. Yeah. But yeah, I do think it's almost like, I mean, a lot of people think of Doug Stanhope as the guy who says shit you're just totally not supposed to say, which is the theme of my podcast, by the way. But stuff that's just really outrageous. Like for me, the stuff that you said about your mother, I forget which set it was. I remember watching you. What was the special you did in Portland?
Yeah, beer hall putsch.
Yeah, right. And that your mom's like a major character in that, right? Yeah. And like the way you talked about her in that was like shocking even to me. Um, Extremely frank stuff about major substance
Yeah,
abuse and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, right. Really stuff you don't talk about anybody, including especially your mom, right? And in a way, like maybe is it that you were actually being innocent in a sense, like you don't sort of your family was so unusual, so radically different than the rest of the society that maybe you just were unaware in a sense when you're talking about these things that you're not supposed to talk about them. Is that true on any
I,
level?
I was writing the bit while she was killing herself.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's one of those things. Like when you have tripped, not excessively, but when you can't be unaware of yourself. Like I know, okay, I'm thinking about how I'm going to turn this into a bit, no matter what it is. You know, oh, I have cancer. I would have the Tig Notaro, the legendary Tig Notaro, just got diagnosed. That would be a time that I couldn't wait to get on stage,
Hmm.
just like she. And it wouldn't be brave. It would be completely self-involved. Like, oh, I finally have something that I can top. You only have so many parents you can kill before you go. Oh, I need to. I have to top my Thriller album. Cancer, thank God, because I can't just go back to talking about fucking drinking and strippers or something.
Right.
So yeah, there's nothing more fulfilling as a comic to have something really dark. Olivia Grace, I was just thinking about this when we were talking about AA.
Mm-hmm.
She got a DUI and she had to do 30 meetings in a year as part of her, and she hadn't done any, and she just moved back to New York City. And so she had 30 days. She had to do 30 meetings. And so she was, and I was so jealous that she had that opportunity. Like, what a fucking great premise. Like, you're getting material out of this. I think she did 30 in 18 days. She was hitting a few a day and making the rounds of every AA meeting just to get it checked off for her, whatever, court. And I was like, when you find yourself jealous of someone in a horrible situation, where you go, oh, fuck, I wish that happened to me. So I have 10 new minutes that are not just banality.
uh so you were in one of the best pieces of television I've ever seen, which is the Louis episode where you play Eddie, the suicidal comic. And
Where I played my
well,
with a different name.
that was the question. Yeah. Yeah, where you, for those who didn't hear, Doug just said where I played myself. He's at the refrigerator refilling his drink. Yeah, that's a haunting episode in which it's focused on this character played by you who is a comic, a lifelong comic who's not successful and apparently not going to become successful. And then at the end of the episode sort of chooses to kill himself, but doesn't do it there. He just sort of walks off into the distance and we assume he's going to die. It's incredibly sad. But it's also, I think my sense was that Louis was trying to give us a window into the soul of a lot of comics and what the world is like and how fucking incredibly dark it is for a lot of you, if not all of you, at least to some extent. Can you just, I mean, this is what, at least a decade ago, but can you talk about that? Like, how much was that you?
Well, I think Louis would be surprised at how much it was me if I wasn't successful. I mean,
right.
A drunk living out of his car, an iconoclast, fuck you, a hater, if you will. And I was never really suicidal, but if I was still living out of my car at that age, which I could see, yeah, I may have well been. I did Carl Pilkington.
I know the name.
An Idiot Abroad. He's like a Ricky Gervais kind of flunky guy, and they did an incredible series called An Idiot Abroad where they just sent him to like Machu Picchu, and he's like, I don't know, I don't understand why I have to climb all the way. I could just look at a picture. Anyway, he had a show, and I did a piece on it. Because I always said after I did the Eddie episode, I don't act. I said, all right, I'm only going to act if I can be suicidal Eddie, going to kill himself, depressed. So I did this thing. I go, hey, can you change my name in the script to Eddie? And just allow me to say, and I'm going to kill myself at one point as an aside. And then they said, hey, we are interested in doing a series with you. If you have any ideas, we'd love to work with you. So we pitched, what if Eddie didn't kill himself?
Oh, right.
And as a carry on from the character I played in that thing. And
that's right.
Oh, yeah. It hasn't gone anywhere, but I didn't need to pitch TV shows, so I'm not really a motivated seller.
Right. What was I right about what Louis was up to with that? What was he trying to do with that episode? Because it stood out from all I mean, that was an amazing series. That was a top-notch series. Every episode was good, but that episode stood out from all the rest.
No, not every episode was good. A lot of them sucked. You're like, what the fuck? Art? Are you throwing art at me just because you're Louis C.K. and you can? I remember when it first came out, I was playing in London and I said, it's great to be in the UK because there's a lot of things you can't say on stage in America that I'm allowed to get away with here. And one of those things is Louis C.K.'s new show sucks. You can't say it in the States.
I liked it. Why didn't you like it?
That was after the first couple episodes, and then I didn't understand the absurdity of it, like where a helicopter comes and picks him up for no reason. And I didn't even realize that it was on purpose. My episode, they have two people playing younger us,
yep,
and one of them, way shorter. They're completely, wrong. But I didn't understand. Like later on, when you go, oh, his agent is a 13-year-old kid. This is funny. His ex-wife is a black lady, even though they have tow-headed blonde daughters. Okay, I didn't understand that the absurdity was there for a reason because it wasn't, forced upon. It's just random. So yeah, later on, I understood.
So Eddie would have been you if you had not been successful, meaning that what? Your mental health?
Well, when I started comedy, I started in 90, and from 92 to 95, I lived out of my car for 3 years.
Oh.
was using calling cards. I don't know if you remember calling cards where
Yeah.
you'd scratch off the number and poke it into a payphone. And I had a P.O. box that would forward my mail when I was going to be somewhere for a week. But when you're a kid, when you're 24 years old, living out of your car, people are like packing you a sack lunch and going, "Oh, you chase your dream."
Mm-hmm.
You're fucking 50 and you're living out of your car as a comic. People are fucking hiding their children from you. Get that? Why is that guy still parked in front of our house?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what's the long plan, or do you have one? What do you want to, what's your dream? Like, what, if you could have anything happen for you in your career, what would you want? What are you shooting for? I've heard about your Comedian Grove idea. Is that still a thing? I like that.
No, we didn't have $2.6 million.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. We did go look at it anyway. It would have been perfect. Yeah, Comedian Grove. For the listeners who don't sit through 3 hours of Joe Rogan, Comedian Grove. I was on my way to do Rogan, and my buddy who's looks at real estate all the time here found this compound 40 minutes from the Tucson airport with like 17 cabanas and houses and we could have turned it into, if you don't know Bohemian Grove, well, good on you. Yeah, we're trying to make like this just a comic getaway
for where comics would live and perform, right?
Well, audiences would come in and rent out the cabanas, and you'd fill, you'd fill the comedy room on the weekends, and you bring in comics, but just make it like an American Legion for comedy, where people just go for immersive comedy experience.
I love it. And it's not in Hollywood. It's not in LA. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Vegas is the only place you can do. What do they call that? Not an internship. Where you
apprenticeship?
No, where you play an extended run.
Oh yeah, residency.
Residency, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Like Cher. Yeah.
We would just fucking live there, and so it was a beautiful daydream on a 17-hour drive to Austin.
And it's dead now.
Yeah.
Too bad. I like the idea a lot. I have similar ideas. I want to form like outposts within the United States where people can come and do creative stuff and live together. It's a very hippie 1960s dream that you and I had.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with not going out is when you do have that shit in your head where I'm fucking washed up or this sucks. I'm never gonna do, like, you don't have that artist's community where someone's going to go, listen, just fucking, you're fine. Get over it. Like, sometimes it just takes one person you trust to go, listen, we all go through this. You're fine. It's going to be all right. And you go, yeah. But yeah, we don't have comics here.
So what's the long, so
I don't miss audiences. The only thing I miss about comedy is comedians. I don't miss audiences. I don't miss fucking, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I don't miss.
You don't miss audiences.
But no, they're the worst part of comedy. They're the ones that say shit on Twitter.
They do what on you?
Those are the people that say shit about you on Twitter.
Oh, I see.
They're the people like a 1-star review on your fucking thing and say, it's not like the Stanhope of old.
Don't you get a rush from making a room full of people laugh?
Not at all.
Really?
Well, yeah, the first time you do the bit where you're excited about it.
Okay.
I have a bit where the only people more fraudulent than comedians are magicians. Because at least a comic, the first time you come up with that idea, whether you said it at a bar and you didn't know what was coming out of your mouth. Are you there?
Yeah.
Froze up.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. A magician buys the fucking bit and then practices it, but there's nothing authentic. Like the first time you come up with a brilliant joke or bit and you do it. A magician doesn't have that moment of, oh my God, where he's just doing a trick and holy shit, a rabbit. Did you see that? A fucking rabbit came out of my hat. I'm going to do that every night.
Right.
Yeah. But you have to repeat shit all the time. And then you feel like a fraud. And if someone comes to, oh, that sounded like it was all off the top of your head. Yeah, that's how I wrote it. But it's not.
Oh yeah, you said you're really more of a writer, in a sense. I think you said you're more of a writer than a comic or something. But do you write everything out like by longhand on a computer, by word? How do you do that? What's the craft?
Depends on the bit.
Okay.
Like I have a lot of premises there. I go, okay, this is a good premise. Now I just have to fill in the blanks. I need better references. Okay, if it's just a joke. The older I get, the more I'm writing out more words. When I started, I have my first notebook from my first open mic where I wrote out every word, including, hi, my name is Doug Stanhope. Like I might forget that part. And now as I'm getting closer to the fucking end of my career, I'm not writing in Doug Stanhope anymore, but I'm writing the words out more, especially because I'm working less. Especially now, I'm not working. So yeah, I have to write it out more. If I'm on the road, like before I stopped, before they shut me down, if I took more than a few days off, I would go back and listen to the entire set of the last show I did and critique, figure out how to fix it and remember it. My memory is shit. And like you said about brain damage, I know people who don't drink at all that are my age and they don't remember shit either. So I'm not too worried that it's all because of alcohol.
Yeah. Well, I actually think it's just that you've produced so much at this point in your life. I mean, I have a similar thing where I've written so much, I've said so much, I can't remember all of it, by this point, by the time I'm 55.
How many books do you have?
I've published 2 and I have a third one that I'm almost done with writing. But then I have, 50 articles and I've given a zillion lectures and I've done 1,000 podcasts and, so there's no way I can remember that stuff. And I think it's similar for you. I wouldn't worry so much about your cognitive abilities. I really don't. I mean, I don't see any evidence of any cognitive impairment here.
Oh yeah. I was being a little dramatic with brain damage, but just an inability to learn new things.
Okay.
You lean into the slide. You just know what you're good at and fucking accessorize it. Don't try to be someone you're not. Like when I was trying to learn about fucking libertarian theory on fucking free trade and economics, that's not my fucking handbag. Just bail out of this altogether. Do what you're good. Do it great.
Yeah. So you're 54 and you just said something about your career being at the end. Is that right? You see it that way? You see this as the end of your career, the end phase?
I've been thinking that since my 30s.
Oh, that's right. You're always threatening to quit. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do otherwise. If I could bartend and charge $40 a ticket. This is the thing. You go to a place where financially, all right, doing comedy is an hour for a fucking ton of money. Or I would be just as happy or happier bartending, but you can't really make the same kind of money.
Okay. A cynical take, but I like it. An honest one.
Nothing. It's also I also have the family that I've chosen are also in the same business. We all work together, and I'm kind of the top of that pyramid. So,
right,
yeah. If I don't work, they don't work.
Right.
I'm sure they'd get by, and it's not a fucking hard life to be a comic. I just get, I get jaded, and I get, where my self-confidence, wanes. You go, all right, then just get over it. We have a good thing going here.
So you don't want to change course. You don't have any other, do you have any large projects that you have in mind that you want to do? Any bucket list things?
Yeah, I'm going to Gibraltar. I always wanted to go to Gibraltar for some reason. It sounds weird. No one knows where it is. No one really goes there, but it is a British territory, 2.6 square miles, the entire place. And I always wanted to go there. So I'm going there in July.
Oh yeah. And you can see Africa from there too, right?
Oh, they got, they got bars. They have monkeys that roam the streets.
You just gonna go.
I forgot I had something on my bucket list. I also want to go to Tahiti for no particular reason.
Yeah, good choice. I like it. Well, man, thank you so much for taking time out and enjoy your life in Bisbee. And I just want to say, you're a hero to a lot of us out here for just saying what we have found to feel authentic and true and brave for decades. And you have said things that a lot of us wish we had said. And we are certainly glad that someone had the balls, the courage to say them publicly and to do it in a hilarious way. And again, also how much work you've done over the years is really impressive and unusual, especially in your business. So just wanted to say those things.
If they let you out of the house, I'll be at Cobb's at the end of August. Please shoot me a DM or a text or whatever, and I will make sure that we hang out in the green room.
Love it, man. Appreciate that. That's wonderful. I will do that so much. Thank you, Doug. And
I love you.
All right, man. You too. Have a good one. Bye-bye. This is the Unregistered podcast, and I'm Thaddeus Russell. To join the new Renegade University, go to renegadeuniversity.com. To join the new Unregistered Underground, the supporting listeners group for the podcast, go to unregisteredunderground.com. Thanks for listening.